say hi to Marissa from our Chicago. So I was telling you all about the amazing Seder we're doing on the second night. Marissa was part of the team of two that wrote the Haggadah. That was an unbelievable amount of work that you guys did. I can't wait. Kelly, hi. Alex, we're all looking for refreshers. Refreshers. I need like a mindfulness, like just starter. And Nicole, yes, my son is Navy ROTC. Um, he'll be a senior next year. Crystal from South Carolina, welcome. Michigan.
Oh,
Yes, I will. Okay, Debbie from Michigan, we'll send another reminder out for the virtual Seder, and the Seder is the second night. So what is that? Thursday? Thursday. Virtual Friday? Oh, yeah. That is for Barbara Guterman. Barbara, will you share with everyone the link for people to learn more about what you're doing? Family counseling services in the Finger Lakes. Victoria, welcome.
Wow. So nice. And Suzanne in Baltimore, she's discussed mindfulness and different focus on breath. Yeah, awesome.
Amazing. Okay, guys, let's get started. So, Lisa's recording. Welcome, and I know more people will be, look, I hope everyone can, so for those of you who've been on our calls before, we have run them as a meeting. So people have seen each other and have been able to like log on and talk. This was a webinar because we hadn't yet upgraded to have more people. Now we do. So future of these will be more in a meeting style. But for now, everyone can just communicate through the chat room, and I hope you do. So please post it. And Barbara, if you post it in the chat, I will also say it out loud so everyone can get to that. I want to welcome everyone to the call. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Meredith Jacobs. I'm the CEO of JWI. Jewish Women International is a 123-year-old organization that is committed to ending violence against women and girls. Our work involves giving women power and control back so that they can create lives where they can thrive. That means doing prevention, awareness, education, and empowerment. We're on college campuses working with fraternity and sorority members on consent, healthy relationship, bystander intervention. We're working with fraternity men, actually men of all ages, on positive masculinity, how they can step up as allies and advocates for women. We teach financial literacy for women of all ages. Because again, we want women to have the control to create the lives that they want. We do a lot of advocacy work right now, not only to finally reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act, but we're making sure that all of these different response vehicles that Congress is putting out to give money to people, to organizations and people to help them maintain their lifestyles are also including providing resources to the shelters. We know right now there is an uptick in domestic violence. There are people who are being quarantined with their abusers. Anytime we're in times of stress, economic insecurity, there's an uptick of violence. There are more gun sales, there are gun grabs going on right now. It's horrendous, and JWI is working to do what we can to stop the cycle of violence. So I thank you all. Is there a way, Lisa, I'm sorry, somebody just said that the chat is actually only open to the panelists. Is there a way we can make the chat open to everyone? So we're going to try and do that. Before I introduce Sandy and get into this, I also wanted to let you know we're so excited to offer all of these resources to you to bring together our community. This time of year, JWI for the past 18 years has held our Mother's Day Flower Project. What we do is on Mother's Day, we send flowers to women living in domestic violence shelters across the country. and you help us make this possible with $25 donations. For every donation you make, we will send a card to someone you love. And I think in this time right now, this project resonates more than ever when we think about the women in the shelter who are isolated, who isolated themselves out of fear, and what it means to get a letter, a message, flowers that just say, someone's thinking of you and loves you and is sending you strength. So this is what we do, and we, you'll be getting a link at the end of this email to not only give you a link to the recording for this webinar, but to hopefully please donate to our flower project and help support our work. And I just heard from Lisa that the chat is open, but when you're posting a message, please select all panelists and attendees. And of course, the link to support our flower project is jwi.org/FP. Okay, now we're going to get started with our webinar. I think it's so interesting that this virus that is attacking our ability to breathe, that we're today talking about being mindful about our breath. And when it comes to being mindful about our breath, there is no one else I can think to turn to than my dear friend, Sandy Abrams. Sandy and I have known each other for decades now. Just to let you know, I connected her to my literary agent. She in turn connected me to her friend who was my manager in LA when I was supposed to become the Jewish Martha Stewart. That's a story for another day. But when I first got to know Sandy, it was because she was the founder and innovator of Moisture Jamzz. So you won't know the Moisture Jamzz name, but you will know the product. This is when your hands and feet are very dry and you put moisturizer on them and then put gloves and socks on your hands and feet when you're sleeping to make them beautiful. That is Sandy. And Sandy sells her products to some of the biggest companies in the world who then market them under their product name. Sandy then went ahead and wrote Your Idea Incorporated, Your Idea Inc., which was helping other entrepreneurs who maybe didn't have a background in business, didn't have their MBA, how to go ahead and launch their brilliant idea. And Sandy has been a yoga enthusiast for years, since I think you said 1989, maybe, and has in recent years turned to breathing. And she has taught her breathing workshops for Google. She was supposed to be at South by Southwest this year, and her new book, Breathe to Succeed, and her website, TheCEOm, are tremendous resources, and the way she's sharing mindful breathing with the world. So I just want to turn things over and welcome Sandy. And please, there will be a time that you can ask questions, but feel free in the chat room to ask questions as they come up. So Sandy, tell us, what is your story? And oh, I'm so sorry, one more thing. If you haven't already, in the upper right-hand corner, please select speaker view, and then you'll be able to see both Sandy and me at the same time. So please do that. So Sandy, how did you get into breathing?
Thanks for having me. First of all, it's such an honor to share breath with JWI community and everyone that took the time to join us today. I'm so grateful. And actually, let's start by stopping, and then I'll explain my story into this journey. But because you're taking the time right now for yourself, and breath, as much as I try to explain it to people, you've got to experience it. It's sort of like trying to describe how delicious ice cream tastes or pizza tastes. You can't explain it. People have to taste it. And so I'd like to just start this session by having everybody take a few deep breaths together and actually be fully present here. And take this in as self-care for yourself. We're going to be here for an hour. So I want you to feel good and make this like a space for comfort and connection and community. So if you're sitting on a chair, put both of your feet on the ground so that you feel grounded and centered. You can uncross your legs. Palms can be facing down on your thighs if you really need more grounding. Palms up on your thighs if you want more of a receptive type energy. And close your eyes. And just for a second, notice, wow, most people never close their eyes in between the time they wake up and the time they go back to sleep in the evening. But just this practice alone of closing your eyes is very calming. It's restful for your eyes, for your mind, for your brain, for your energy. And when you pair it with a few deep breaths, it's science. This will help you relax and go inward. And when you close your eyes, you can visualize this boundary that you've just set from external to internal. And the internal is where our inner strength is. That's where everything that you need to access during this chaotic time is. It's internal, it's there. And so by closing your eyes and taking a few deep breaths at any time during the day, this exercise, this practice of 30 seconds will shift so that you have control of how you think and how you feel. That's the great news. The one thing that we all can control is our breath and our mindset. So while we're sitting here, through your nose, take a long, slow, deep inhale. And on the exhale, through your nose or mouth, let everything go. Let your shoulders go, let your neck go. Maybe do a neck roll or a shoulder roll. Notice where you tend to hold your stress physically and let it go. Again, through your nose, take a long, slow, deep inhale. And exhale. One more. Long, slow, deep inhale. And exhale. And then when you're ready, just breathe normally again. You can open your eyes, or as I talk, feel free to leave them closed.
But so Sandy, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were breathing and I had my eyes closed, I could hear you exhale. And I know I've been in workshops with you before where you talk about lion breath and all that. Is there something about breathing out loudly that makes a difference from just kind of, breathing out?
Good question. I like to, on my exhales, I do that. I did lion's breath on one of those exhales. So that's where you heard like that. And other times I usually do exhale with my mouth open on those restorative breaths, but it's fine if it feels more comfortable for someone to do it with their mouth closed. That's basically what we call in yoga ujjayi breath. And it's totally fine. The important part is that you're inhaling through your nose. When you inhale through your nose, the science behind it is fascinating. That's where you connect to the part of your brain that regulates emotion. So simply by doing that is like, now you're inside your mind and it's up to you to decide, how do I want to feel? What energy do I need to manifest? And you can tell your body, I am calm. I am grounded. I'm centered. And you can do those energies that are calming if you need that, or you can do energies that are, I am ready. I'm confident. I'm empowered. You can tell your body whatever you need to feel, and your body will believe what you tell it. So on the other side of the coin, if you're telling yourself right now during all this time, oh my God, I'm terrified, blah, 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 everything is going to be ruined, everything, blah, blah, this is the energy that you're going to have, and your body will react. With your heart will start to race. You'll start to lower your immunity by being in that stress response. When you're only shallow breathing, your body stays in a low-grade state of chronic stress. So it's really important to interrupt the shallow breath with mindful deep breaths in small moments throughout the day, anywhere. You don't need to be sitting still. That's the beauty of breath, is that it's customized for what works best for every single person here today and every single person in the world. I look at breath as sort of entrepreneurial, because as an entrepreneur building a business, you've got to figure out your own journey and your own ecosystem and what works for you. And that's what breath is also. The way that you speak to yourself matters. Your thoughts matter now more than ever before. It's a matter of health and wellness.
So it's just a matter of, so if all of a sudden I'm feeling anxious about, fill in the blank right now, everything, it's just a matter of closing my eyes and just kind of forcing telling myself, like, breathe. Like, how,
Yes.
It almost sounds easier than it is, when you're like heart is rate and you're gasping for breath. Like, how, walk us through, how do you really do this?
Yes, and you do it by practicing, and the more often that you practice in small moments, the faster you can shift that energy, that anxiety, or that stress, or that fear in the moment. So for example, like, I use it when I'm flying. I don't like to fly, and if there's like a little bit of turbulence, I used to just say to myself, oh my God, we're going down, and you start to have this inner dialogue that's completely negative. So the way that I switch it is by taking one deep breath and telling myself, I'm calm, we're all fine. So yes, it's the power of positive thinking. This philosophy and breath, the practice of breath, has been around for 5,000 years with yoga. So it's science. It's not weird. It's not hippie-ish. There's the science behind the power of pairing your mindset with breath. And the way that I did this, going back to my story a little bit, is that I started doing yoga in 1989. I was a very fast-paced person, and I loved the rigorous practice of yoga. And when the teachers talked about breath, I was like, that's kind of like, who's got time for that? I want more chaturangas and push-ups. And so I became known as the girl who left yoga class right before Shavasana. And Shavasana, for people who don't do yoga, is the last pose of the class, where for 5 minutes, you just lie still and soak up all the good juices from being active. And so I would just scoot out because being still made me anxious. And the teachers began to ask me, why are you leaving right before Shavasana? Shavasana is the most important pose in yoga. And I couldn't believe that, but I thought, out of respect for my teachers and for this practice, I'm going to give it a try. I was obsessed with yoga. Sometimes I went twice a day. Really loved it. And ended up taking teacher training, and I learned the power of breath. But I had that aha moment one day where I was lying in Shavasana and I took 3 deep breaths, and I felt that grounded, centered, empowered feeling that I had never felt ever in my entire life. And it made me curious, where else could I take the power of these 3 deep breaths to shift my energy completely to where I felt control, where I felt this slower, grounded pace and this internal speed. And so I took it into my entrepreneurial life at the time. And I realized that through the challenges and the roller coaster ride that is entrepreneurial life, I was able to control my thoughts and energy so much better. So
do you breathe better now when you're not thinking about it? It's interesting. So last week we had a call with Liz Josephsberg, who was talking to us about healthy habits during COVID and how everything we do during the day, even like how we get into the shower, everything we do in the shower is by habit. And now all of our habits have been thrown out the window, and that this can be a time where we create new healthy habits, or a time when we can create bad habits. So and I'm the same way. I can't stand Savasana. Like I can't stand getting my nails done because I can't sit still. Do you find now the more you're breathing and this has become your new habit and you're taking better, deeper breaths, that it's just, you don't need to think about it so much, that it's almost like your new habit is just breathing mindfully? Or do you still need to force yourself to think about it?
No, it becomes second nature. And after I share a few tools with everyone today, if you just leave with one new tool, even if it's just the 3 deep breaths with your eyes closed, that's all I did for many, many years before I started experimenting with more of the tools that I'll share with you, like lion's breath or Bumble Bee Breath or alternate nostril breath. I didn't get into that for many, many years. So in the beginning, so right now, if you want to schedule 3 reminders to close your eyes and to take 3 deep breaths, there's nothing wrong with scheduling those reminders. But
during the day?
Sure.
Okay.
Morning, afternoon, and evening. And that's the time where you just reset, rest your eyes, rest your brain, and rejuvenate. But what happens is your body begins to crave those little mini sessions, 30, 60, 90 seconds here and there. And what happens is it becomes second nature. So I don't really think about it. It just becomes a habit. And I have utilized the idea of habit stacking. So you said that we do have these habits of course, brushing your teeth or getting in the shower, or filling your water bottle. Maybe if you say to yourself, just today, every time I fill my water bottle, I'm going to take 3 deep breaths. Then what happens is eventually you rewire your neural pathways. And then when you go to refill your water bottle, you're automatically knowing this is when I take the 3 deep breaths. So
I love that. And also Marissa Freeman is sharing that there's an app on Apple Watch. I don't know if it's also available just if you get the Apple app, called Breath app. And that's another way to schedule reminders.
Absolutely. That is great. And any way that you need to remind yourself is wonderful. Put a Post-it. Obviously, we're not driving to too many places these days, but put a Post-it in your car so that when you're driving again, you can have the reminder there. Post it on your desk or on your laptop. Any way to remind yourself. And then I promise it becomes second nature and you just crave these deep breath sessions that are short and they're in small moments.
So can we turn to your book? And then I want to give you time to teach us some of these techniques. Your book is Breathe to Succeed. How are you connecting mindful breathing with entrepreneurism, with success? Talk a little bit about the book.
Yeah, thank you. So in Breathe to Succeed, I talk about the journey of how I utilize the power of breath for success and wellness. And the way that I do that is, again, being self-aware of how I'm thinking and feeling. So in business, and especially entrepreneurial life, you're faced with new things every day, things that you have not experienced before. I didn't have a business background. So as I started my business, I didn't even know the difference between wholesale or retail. And so I had to ask a lot of questions. And sometimes I thought, oh, this is going to sound so dumb, but I'm going to have to ask this question. So I utilized breath to shift my mindset into a mindset of optimism, or to help me feel more patient in certain situations. I used it to make me feel more confident. There's so many different ways that you can utilize the power of breath. And right now, you'll start to figure out how you need to think, how you need to feel, and you'll breathe into that. I like to say that there's 3 ways that we can utilize the power of breath. One is to breathe into something wonderful. So celebrate small victories, especially in this time of uncertainty and challenge. If you've made it through the day and you did something productive, or your family's still all healthy and everyone's doing well, take a deep breath and breathe into that small success. Celebrate the small moments. Then you can breathe through something, which is breathing through the challenges of today. What are things that are on your plate that normally wouldn't be today? The issues of grocery shopping and being safe outside when you have to go, and connecting with family members and elderly people who you can't see or be with. Breathing through those by mindfully deciding, I am confident, I'm calm, we'll be fine. You can breathe through something. And the third way is to breathe out. Breathe things out. Let things go. So when you have that negative dialogue that's been programmed in your mind for sometimes decades, it's time to become aware of what negative dialogue you might have internally and decide that you're going to breathe that out. It's never too late to rewire your brain. I talk about, in my book, I do have these It's Science pop-ups. And so there's a lot of just scraping the surface of the science behind the great news that it's never too late to reprogram mind, your brain, your neural pathways, breath, and how it benefits immunity. We all need to boost our immunity right now. And breath is a way to detoxify your body, boost your immunity, boost your creativity, your productivity, everything. The way that you improve how you operate every single day is through breath and pairing it with the mindset tools of the power of positive thinking. So
amazing. Well, let's get started. Will you teach us some breath?
Okay.
So fun that we have to learn how to breathe.
Okay, so again, if you're sitting, posture is really important. And so just do a couple shoulder rolls. Make room here and here for breath to come in and fill your body. One way that I love to wake up in the morning is to do the 3 lions breath immediately. It gets rid of any stagnant energy, and again, customize these. Nobody can see what you're doing right now. So while you're at home and I walk you through these breath tools, do it in a way that feels really good to you so that you'll want to do it again. So we'll start with lion's breath. And this is something that, again, I love to do first thing in the morning. No matter how I feel, it just gets rid of any stagnant energy and sort of empowers you for the day. And lion's breath looks like this. Start with your eyes closed. Through your nose, you take a long, slow, deep inhale. And then you bulge open your eyes, you stick out your tongue, and you can shake out your hands. You can shake out your body. You can just do whatever you'd like. On the inhale, I also sometimes like to open my arms and open my chest. When you open your chest, it opens up to this feeling of abundance and making room for this fresh oxygen to detoxify your body. So I'll walk everybody through 3 rounds of lion's breath right now. If after 1 round you feel a little lightheaded, that's normal because you're not used to taking in a lot of deep breath. Just stop, put your palms down on your thighs and close your eyes or keep your eyes open, whatever's more comfortable, and breathe regularly and try it again later. The lightheadedness will pass in 30 seconds or a minute at the most. So I'll walk you through as a guide, but just do this, in a way that feels good to you. So close your eyes, take a long, slow, deep inhale through your nose, and exhale. Let everything go. And it might make you laugh, which is great because laughter is breath. So if that makes you laugh, let yourself laugh. Don't hold that back. Laughing is awesome. And that's another thing that you probably want to do a little bit more every day right now, and find yourself in your pantry or in your closet or your bathroom and literally laugh out loud for 15 seconds. That is breath. And it makes, again, it's the science. Your body will feel happy even though you weren't feeling happy at that time. So second lion's breath, eyes closed, long, slow, deep inhale. Exhale. I mean, how good does that feel, Mare?
It feels good. I love the way everyone else is like doing it privately, and I'm like, whoa, you can watch me do it.
I'm making them laugh. Okay, third one's a charm. Inhale. Exhale. Okay, so that is lion's breath. It's a wonderful one to teach your kids. If you have kids home with you, whether the kids are 2 years old or they're 22 years old, it's a great way for kids to realize that they can control the way they feel and they can let go of stress and fear and negative energy immediately.
So just wanted to read 2 things from the chat room is that Barbara said she's scaring her dog. And Suzanne reassured me that everyone's eyes are closed so they can't see me.
Until they're open.
Okay, so Susie said it's making her yawn. What is that?
Say that. I guess I really don't know the science behind that. It doesn't make me yawn, but I've heard that from people in my workshops. I have to look at that science and I will get back to you on that answer. I don't know why it makes
Isn't it yawning when your body like is almost involuntary, like needs more air, so it's taking in? Is there anything connected to that where all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, give me more air, so I'm going to make you yawn?
No, I'm going to get back to Susan on that. And I will let you know. So that's one tool. The next tool that we're going to practice, and I'll try to do a little less talking and a little more practice so that we can all really experience these tools. This next breath is called alternate nostril breathing. It balances the left and right sides of the brain. It will help to make you feel grounded, calm, centered, empowered. There's so many different ways that it helps people feel all these different nuances. And the way that like it might make someone feel calm, whereas it might make you feel empowered, is by, again, you telling yourself what you need from this breath. So as we do alternate nostril breathing, maybe right now you really need to feel grounded and internal and calm. So maybe visualize that word in your mind's eye while we're doing the alternate nostril breathing. And that really helps to, again, embed the feeling of whatever you need at this moment. So I'll explain it. And because we're all going to be breathing at sort of different paces, just do this at your own pace. And whenever you feel like stopping, put your palms down on your thighs and just breathe normally. I'll probably lead us through 60 seconds-ish of this tool. And this is the way it looks. Once you close your eyes, we can do this with your eyes closed, but if you want to watch me on the first couple rounds, you take your right hand in the air and gently close your right nostril with your thumb. Take a long, slow, deep inhale through your left nostril. Close the left nostril with the ring finger. Exhale through the right nostril. Long, full exhale through the right. And then long, slow, deep inhale through the right. Closing the right nostril with the thumb, exhaling left. After washing your hands, yes, Suzanne. Exhaling left.
Wash your hands.
Absolutely, and blow your nose first. Closing left, exhale right. So by now, if you want to close your eyes and visualize that word, I'll walk you through a few rounds. Inhaling right. Close the right nostril, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Long, full, deep inhale. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. Inhale right. Close right, exhale left. Inhale left. Close left, exhale right. And then just breathe normally, palms facing down for more groundedness, facing up for more receptivity. Maybe do a shoulder or a neck roll, and just think about how that made you feel now. Maybe your right and left sides of your brain are more balanced, you're more grounded and centered. And that breath has so many different applications that you can use during this time to both ground and empower yourself.
I definitely felt different after doing the lion's breath than I did just now. The lion's breath, I felt like I had more energy. Like you said, I was laughing. Now I feel like I almost didn't want to talk because it was like interrupting the peace I was feeling just then.
Yes. And isn't that amazing that in 60 seconds you can transform your energy? So now for you, Mare, you'll know alternate nostril breathing isn't something that you want to do before to get energized. That's lion's breath. Right. And so throughout all these tools, people will realize what makes them feel a certain way. And then in specific situations and circumstances, that's what you can turn to. In 60 or 90 seconds, breath transforms energy. I open the book, Breathe to Succeed, with a quote from Robert Heller that says, "Fear is excitement without breath." And I love that because it just exemplifies the fact that with breath, you can move from fear to excitement. With breath, you can move from chaos to clarity. You can move from judgment to compassion. You can move from anything from point A to point B, and breath, mindful breath, is the catalyst or that bridge for getting from point A to point B when you're not feeling it. Breath will be that catalyst for transformation of mindset and energy.
That's beautiful.
Another tool that I would love to share with people right now is just by putting your hands, one hand, like your right hand on your heart or your chest, your left hand on your belly. And we'll do Ujjayi breath, which is a yoga tool that's also known as victorious breath or Darth Vader breath, because it sounds like this. So you're constricting the back of your throat just a little bit, as if you were fogging a mirror, like, but your mouth is closed. So with Ujjayi breath, we breathe in and out through the nose. The mouth is always closed. So we'll just do a few rounds. If you're not doing it exactly right, it doesn't matter, but you'll start to get used to it as you do it more. And the reason I love putting hand on heart and hand on belly is because during these times, especially, it's great to put your hand on your heart and connect with yourself again. Go inward. Start to feel compassion and empathy by touching base and getting in touch with your heart. The gut, the hand on my gut, I do this when I feel like I've been running on autopilot and I need to check back in with my instincts and my inner voice. And like right now, it's just such a stressful time, but you know what you need at any given moment. You really do. And so when you touch base with your inner instinct, your inner strength, your inner voice, using your hand on your gut as a sort of way to reconnect is really powerful. So just doing like right now, this with your hands like this and closing your eyes and using Ujjayi breath, you're generating like this heat and this internal energy that's really powerful. And if you need to visualize it actually burning through negative energy and thoughts inside of you, that's great. Bring in the mindset, the power of the mind anytime for these breath exercises. So let's take a long, slow, deep inhale. And exhale, constrict the back of your throat a little bit so you make that fogging of the mirror, Darth Vader sound. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, feeling your heart, the expansion of your heart, feeling your belly expand into your left hand and touching base with your gut instinct and your intuition. And do a few more rounds of that. And Ujjayi breath, it generates an internal heat, which is really energizing and detoxifying. Also, as a rule of thumb, when you want to feel relaxed or calm, just remember that your exhale needs to be longer than your inhale. So you can do counting breath, as simple as inhaling to a count of 4, exhaling to a count of 6 or 8. That turns on your parasympathetic nervous system. So the science behind that is that you will immediately feel relaxed, especially again, if you're repeating that mantra, I am calm. And so just as a rule of thumb today or any time that you need to feel relaxation, just do a counting of 4 on the inhale and 6 or 8 on the exhale. And again, the more you practice, you might be an 8 on the inhale and a 10 or 12 on the exhale. Just start to play with that. There's also, since we just talked about heating up our body, there's a breath called cooling breath, which looks like this. And I've seen in my workshops that I guess there's a small percentage of people, I guess this is a genetic thing. If you can't curl your tongue, it's okay. You can just do it. You can do it, Meredith. Some people can't, so just do it like with your flat tongue. But It actually cools the temperature of your body, but I've used it for years as a way to cool my temper. So if I find myself, when you get so upset or frustrated with the situation, cooling breath can also help to cool your inner temperature and cool your mindset and your temper. So,
asking for a friend, does that help during hot flashes?
Yes, you know what? A friend of mine told me that it really helps.
What? Not us. What do we know from that?
So for anyone who that might help, let's just do 3 rounds of this. And it looks like, so you inhale like through the straw of your tongue, and then you put your tongue in your mouth, you close your mouth, and again, you exhale through your nose. Inhale. Tongue in, mouth closed. One more.
Okay, it does feel a little cooler.
Right? One more. It's really, really a good one for so many different ways to cool your mind and cool your body. What else was I going to talk about?
I want to take a second. If you have any questions, feel free to add them to the chat box. If you want everyone to see, make sure you're selecting to all panelists and attendees. If you just want, us to see it, then just select all panelists. But please type in your questions and I will read it and Sandy can answer. Go ahead, Sandy.
Yeah, happy to answer any questions while we're here. Let's see. I would love to also talk about, I made this up called the Force of 4. It's a breath exercise that's sort of a mix of 4 components: posture, breath, mantra, and movement. And so again, you can customize this. I'm going to show you my version of it, but I'd love for you to make it your own and do a posture that feels good to you, a breath that feels good to you, a mantra, and a movement that feels good to you. So I'm going to back up. I sit on my little Bosu ball thing. I'm going to back up and show you. I love this Amy Cuddy victory posture. If you haven't seen her TED Talk, it's awesome, where she talks about if you just stand in this position, the science behind it is that it does change your body and you feel victorious, whether or not you're actually feeling it. So I start in this victorious position, and then I take a deep inhale. I think about an energy that I want to manifest, and then I let everything else go like this with movement. And it's really empowering. Do it just 3 or 4 times, or do it for a minute. It's sort of like a Kundalini-esque type of exercise. You can do it where you're just doing a mini back bend again, and maybe on the exhale, you're giving yourself a hug and letting everything else go. Add a lion's breath, like make it your own. There's no right or wrong way. But when you bring together all of these 4 things, the posture, the breath, the mindset, and the movement, it's just so empowering and energizing and resets everything.
Sandy, Marissa was asking, is there a minimum number of breaths to make these breath exercises effective? And also, she's curious if there's a ramp-up period during these breaths.
The reason I love breath so much is that 1 deep breath is the minimum, 1. And the more you practice it, you'll see the immediate transformation that happens with just that 1 deep breath. So in the middle of anything, or even as I said, when I would be in flight and there's a moment of turbulence, you close your eyes and you take that 1 deep breath, and immediately you're internal and you've interrupted that shallow breath. So yes, the minimum is 1 deep breath. And that's the beauty of breath versus meditation. You don't need to be sitting still for long periods of time. There is science behind just 1 deep breath is enough. The ramp up period, what do you mean by that, Meredith? Do you know?
I don't know. Marissa, will you respond and see if
Not
there's
sure what you
explain more about the ramp up? Meanwhile, Alex was asking, current events makes things tense sometimes in the office, and by that it's the virtual office. What are some strategies for calming that can be used in the moment, not only to calm oneself down, but also to engender compassion towards one's colleagues? So I wonder, Alex, if you're saying like you could be on a call or you could get frustrated with somebody. How do you kind of go, like, I'm not going to just like scream right now?
I love that question, Alex. And self-awareness is the first step to becoming more compassionate to others. And right now is the time that we need to understand, especially in the virtual offices, that people are now working remotely, maybe for the first time ever. And so there's an adjustment period, and maybe they've got young kids at home. Maybe they are having to do everything. And so being self-aware before you get on a meeting, a virtual meeting, and knowing that you want to communicate clearly and you want to be open for two-way communication and connection, and let people know up front, I'm here to help you. How can I help you? Let's get through this together. I think the communication and the self-awareness and letting people know that you feel for them, you understand this is a new normal, and maybe start a virtual meeting with 3 deep breaths and let everybody know this is the new normal. We don't know what everyone else is going through. So let's open our heart right now. Let's have an overall intention of being more compassionate and non-judgmental to people. And setting that intention before a call or a virtual meeting, or doing it with whoever is on your meeting, is so powerful. And this is something that can be done post-pandemic in meetings as well, to get everybody fully present, not just physically there, but mentally and emotionally and spiritually connected. And you'll start to see that when everybody's mind and body is aligned, you'll start to reach goals easier. You'll start to communicate more clearly. You'll be more open-minded and compassionate to what people may or may not be going through, yet they still made it onto your meeting virtually.
It'd be so cool. I'm sitting here thinking, but I don't even know if I would be brave enough to do it. Like, how great, let's say you're having a virtual meeting and it's going to be a brainstorming session. You're trying to come up with a new program, and you start off by having everyone do lion's breath. And then if there's something otherwise, you want to start off by doing those, what was it? The nose.
Alternate nostril breathing.
The alternate, to just like calm everyone down. Like, I might try it. I might try it on our next call, and just,
Especially because all it takes is 60 seconds, and the science is that people will feel it. Even if the non-believers, you do that longer exhale than an inhale, and those non-believers are going to feel relaxed too. So, and all you did was take 60 seconds in the beginning of a meeting. So it's worth if you have an hour-long meeting, start it with 60 seconds of breath.
Breath. Oh my gosh. What is it like when you're doing these massive workshops at Google? I mean, I've seen pictures of you doing what a cool thing that a company like that is bringing together their employees and
well, Google was one of the first companies actually to have a chief happiness officer many, many years ago. He now runs, a mindfulness platform, and he has moved on from that, but still is in the mindfulness space. Chade Meng Tan is his name. And I quote him in my book also because he talks about the power of an optimistic mindset. And so in offices like Google, mindfulness has been around for a long time. However, it's very tech centric. And I've done a lot of workshops for tech companies where people are constantly connected. This is their job. And while there's so many perks at a lot of these tech companies, the main pain point is that you are constantly connected to devices. So what I've found so interesting there is that people crave this unplugged feeling of breath and mindfulness, but they only want it in small snippets because they're not wired for long sessions necessarily. Some people are, but overall, I've gotten so much great feedback of people that say like, now I just stop and I close my eyes and I take 3 deep breaths, and then I feel so much more focused when I come back to my work. And it's just those small moments that are the big, big game-changing differences in corporate. And especially now, I've done a lot of remote work sessions, and you know, this working from home for people who are normally in corporate is a huge adjustment. And so breath is that way where they can continually recenter, and also tapping into your creativity for meetings and brainstorming. There's a great breath tool called Bumble Bee Breath. And I'll just do one round right now just to share it. But it's awesome because the science behind feeling creative is that your mind needs to have a blank slate. So that's why a lot of people say, oh my gosh, I just had the best idea when I was in the shower or walking on the beach, or when I woke up at 3 a.m. It's because your mind isn't focused on the 20 other tabs that are on our laptops. So Bumblebee breath looks like this. On the exhale, with your eyes closed and your ears plugged, you make this humming, buzzing sound like a bumblebee. And it starts to dissipate all of those tabs that are open in your mind. And the humming, buzzing sound, if you visualize them actually closing those tabs, after 3 rounds, it's like you've got this blank canvas and you're energized. So again,
were your fingers touching your face then? Is it to feel like it's also a vibration? Was that part of it?
Yes. Yeah. So you're closing your ears, you're covering your eyes, and on the exhale, and you'll feel this vibration internally. And when you do 3 of them, it's like, hello, you have that clear mind. And everybody, it's great for brainstorming sessions.
Wow. So. I just wanted to add, Alex, I think not only what you were talking about with a meeting, I think we can use that in our homes right now. You know, there might be some taking a deep breath before you say something you really regret in this tense situation. And also, Sandy, when you were talking about the tech world, I think all of us are experiencing that. Now I've heard so many people who will say, yeah, we're working from home. I feel like I feel like I'm working even harder right now, because it is like you log off one Zoom call and immediately log into another. It's just a lot of tension. It is a lot of online. It is a lot of looking at a screen, more so than ever, because in the office we can get up and go have a conversation with someone. And now to have a conversation with someone, it's through a screen. So I think these things that, you know, Google found important. Kelly asked if you could again say the name, the person at, did you reference an optimistic mindset book, or is that your book that she's?
I mentioned in my book, I mention Chade Meng Tan is his name. And he has this quote that I have, that I put in here about being optimistic, where he says, people who are optimistic react to setbacks from a presumption of personal power. They feel that setbacks are temporary, are isolated to particular circumstances, and can eventually be overcome by effort and abilities. In contrast, people who are pessimistic react to setbacks from a perspective of personal helplessness. They feel that setbacks are long-lasting, generalized across their lives, and are due to their own inadequacies and therefore cannot be overcome. So it's really important to be optimistic. I know as an entrepreneur, without optimism, I can't even imagine like waking up another day and thinking that I can do that. Hey, I can do that. You have to be optimistic these days. And another quote I have on lower on that page is from the Biochemistry of Belief study. And it says, beliefs are like internal commands to the brain as to how to represent what is happening when we congruently believe something to be true. In the absence of beliefs or inability to tap into them, people feel disempowered. We have the power to choose our beliefs, and our beliefs become our reality. So it is up to us to change the way that we think and feel throughout the day through breath in small moments. There's a great quote from Viktor Frankl, who is a Holocaust survivor and an Austrian psychiatrist. And it's something that along the lines of, when we can no longer change our circumstances, we must change ourselves. And that today is really what we all need to do, is to just keep on top of our optimism, our own empowerment, talking to yourself. What you say, like, we're all online these days so much. When you unplug, have a conversation with yourself. Close your eyes. Tell yourself that you're good, you're happy, you're calm, you're in control. Have a little pep talk with yourself every day, and add in those 3 deep breaths, and you'll start to see this alignment of your mind and body. And that's where the magic begins, with the power of breath.
Wow. I feel like now more than ever, we need this message. I mean, this is something that we should have been doing all along, but now, and I know that there are days where I could get so caught up in all the terror of now, and the days where I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take one step at a time. In fact, our Young Women's Leadership Network, the first book that they're reading for the National Book Club, is a book by Bess Kalb, and the title is "No One Will Tell You This But Me." And it's conversations with her grandmother throughout the years, and her grandmother often references that her grandfather would say, when the ground beneath you is cracking, take one step forward. And I think whether it's one step forward or one more breath, like, that's going to get us through it. And Sandy, just to close things out, I know you were talking about, before we started this call, about how our breathing collectively might somehow support those who are struggling to survive this terrible virus. I wanted to know if you wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that actually it's a great way to end, since we are at our closing point. I would love to walk everybody through 3 deep breaths, and let's make these 3 deep breaths as a sort of offering to those who are struggling right now to breathe, and make it sort of where we can elevate the collective energy of right here in our homes, and then in our communities, and in the world right now, by mindfully breathing for those who are suffering, and just continuing to send out good vibes and prayers to those people, because we have the breath, we can do it, we can share it right now. So again, if everybody wants to close their eyes, and again, make this your own. What feels good? Maybe palms down on your thighs, maybe hand on the heart and belly, maybe whatever you want. Maybe where, if you hold stress in your jaw, maybe put your hands on your jaw. Wherever feels good. And we'll take a long, slow, deep inhale. Grateful for this breath. And on the exhale, we're sending out the good energy and this extra breath to people who need it right now. Again, breathing into this collective community energy. And on the exhale, sending it out in big vibrations for everyone else who needs it. And one more. With a little blessing, like, may you be healthy, may you be well. Just giving like that of your energy and your mindset in some small way helps people feel better, helps you feel more grateful for your own, this simple tool of 3 deep breaths. To feel it with gratitude every day right now while people are struggling is a way that it will become habit, and your body will start to crave it. So thank you for coming and breathing with me today. It's an honor to share this time with you, Meredith and JWI. Thank you all so much. And
oh my gosh, Sandy, thank you. And for those of you on the call, I'm excited to announce that Sandy is one of our 2020 Women to Watch honorees this year. So I hope you all will be with us in December to celebrate Sandy and 9 other women who are like her, who are incredible. I want to thank those of you on the call today. I know that there are attendees who are on the front line of this, who are members of our military, who are working with domestic violence survivors, who are members of the medical community. I want to thank you for everything you are doing. I want to thank all of you for spending this time. And I want to ask once again to please consider supporting JWI and our flower project right now. But thank you for this breath and for this blessing of the time right now. So Sandy, thank you. And I wish all of you health and sanity and deep breaths.
Thank you. And I echo Meredith's sentiment. Thank you so much to all of you on those front lines and serving and in the front lines of your family and at home and everyone. Thank you. And I'm honored to be a woman to watch with JWI. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.
That was so fun. Thank you for having me.
Sandy, thank you. Okay. Lots of love to your family.
Thanks. You too.